D, wait for it, Lightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So today I am being joined by my friend Speed Force Spector. How you doing, Speed Force?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. And we are going to be talking about The Flash. We're not just going to be talking about the TV show. We're also going to be talking about the upcoming The Flash movie by Warner Brothers and DC. But before we get started on talking about that and getting into discussion, I just want to say that if you like what we do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to our channels. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like ours always get pushed to the back of the line. So we please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and we thank you in advance. So why don't we go ahead and get started on this video? Speed Force, you have a fun story that about your username. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about it? I think it's pretty great.
Yes, so finally I get to talk about my boy, the man, the husbando, Barry Allen, finally. So how I got my username was a long time ago, back when the cool kids used to use GEEK. I essentially made a group chat, and I didn't want it to be something pretty basic like Flash fans or whatever. So I essentially did Speed Force, and then I wanted to add something cool, and I did a username generator thing, and I found Spectre, and I looked what that meant, and it was like one had spectating, another had ghost. And I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense, because the people making the show don't know you're watching or the character. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So I went with that, but it wasn't Speed Force Spector, it was Speed Force Spectors, because there was a whole bunch of people. Over the course of time, everyone left that chat, so that crashed and burned. So randomly, Grant Gustin on Twitter, he posted, I think it was a Twitter or something along the lines, but he posted a picture and he had a beard and everything. And I compared him to the dad from Inside Out, which I think the gays owe me a compensation check because I did it way before they did. And a few hours later, and I see Grant Gustin liked and retweeted it, and I was blowing up. So if you want to know why I have as many followers as I do, that's the reason why. That account no longer exists. Same with Grant's account, but that did happen. And at the time, I had like the worst username, because at the time Twitter had this thing where you couldn't change your username, and it auto did it, and it was like my actual name and then a whole bunch of numbers at the end of it. And so at the time I was able to switch my username. So I switched it to Speed Force Spector, or S Force Spector, because the whole thing can't go into an @ So my name essentially stemmed from an old group chat and Grant Gustin pretty much making me Twitter famous. So I changed it to that, which is also funny because I called him the dad from Inside Out, which now he's a dad. So that's pretty funny. Full circle.
Right on. Yeah, that's a good story. It's a good story. All right. So why don't we jump into talking about The Flash? We're going to do the Flash TV show first on the CW. But before we get into talking about the show and everything, I want to talk about season 7. And I know that me and you have discussed this before, but I just want to, just say that I've only watched the first episode, and then I watched the last 4 episodes all the way through, and then I watched a sprinkling of scenes like throughout the rest of this season. So I didn't watch all of the filler episodes, and I didn't think that they were, I didn't watch all the filler episodes or anything like that. I just watched the first one and then the last 4. Sorry, that was a lot to say there for the same thing twice. So first off, what did you think about season 7 overall?
So I watched it all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it, but it was a mess.
I completely agree. I didn't, speaking of I said the filler episodes, I didn't think that those were needed. I really didn't. I like the episode with Cecil. Is that her name? where she got her own episode this season.
Oh, Cecile, yeah.
Cecile, yeah. And then the Allegra episode, I don't like any of the secondary characters. I just want to say that right now. I just I just thought that I just think they're so obnoxious and annoying. Like I literally
the problem with this season and the use of filler episodes, you could barely tell, mostly because they had to juggle 3 different things, which was the pandemic's doing. They had to wrap everything up from last season. They had to deal with a plot line before, because the season didn't drop in the fall, so they had to do a quote unquote before December hiatus type of thing before the hiatus. Then after that, they had to deal with the Godspeed villain stuff. So there was so much, and then they threw in filler episodes, and they made it kind of important, but not really. So it was kind of really hard to tell what was a filler episode and what really wasn't.
right on. Speaking of the Godspeed storyline, that was the last 4 episodes of this season. That's why I watched those 4. Do you think that this was enough time dedicated to the villain of Godspeed?
Absolutely not. They should have waited for this. At the same time, I'm kind of glad that they ripped the band-aid off with it, because I think they would have definitely kind of prolonged that character. So I'm glad they just kind of did it, even though it wasn't the best. At least they did it.
Gotcha. See, I think that I feel like they should have just tacked on the last 3 episodes that they missed out on from season 6 onto season 7, and just to finish up that whole Mirror Monarch storyline, and then dedicated the rest of the 15 episodes of the season to Godspeed and
That's
that whole
my issue
storyline.
with it. That was my whole issue with it, because they threw in the Speed Force thing, which I feel like they could have just removed all of that.
All of it.
Plus the nonsense with like the brother and sister thing, even though like they're all not related. It's just Speed Force. Barry just gave them powers, and that's it.
Yeah, I just like I didn't
There's cool ideas sprinkled in, so I can't really say it was all bad, but even then, still kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah, that well the Speed Force thing was so I thought it was weird because she's like calling him mom and dad, but she took on the shape of his mom. I'm like, this is just weird. This is just a weird thing. And
they only did it because it was from previous seasons that the Speed Force is essentially Barry's mom, so I kind of pinned the blame on that one. If that wasn't the case, they would have done something totally different.
Do you think it was a bad idea to devote 8 episodes to the Force, the whole 8 episodes to the Force Quest storyline?
It's like yes and no. Like a lot of it was important, but some of it was throwaway too. So kind of as I was saying, it's a mixed bag.
Right on. All right. So do you think that they handled Cisco's leaving / his goodbye? Do they think they handled that well?
I thought it was a cute, goofy episode, and like it was a better send off than most. Like I'm glad that it was more cheerful than anything, mixed with like the characters not knowing how to handle their emotions well. Like I thought it was different. I think that's the best word to use. It was different from other send-offs. However, the man showed up in like the last couple of episodes, so it was kind of pointless at the end of the day for them to make a whole deal of, oh, Cisco's leaving. Oh, nope, he isn't really leaving.
Right on. Yeah, that was my point. I thought the goodbye was fine, but then yeah, like you said, he came back like 2 episodes later, and I was like, well, what was the point in that? And I feel like his goodbye could have totally been a part of the Godspeed story arc. Just because I feel like the whole Godspeed character they've been setting up since like season 5 and 4, and I don't, or was it 4? No, since season 5, and I just feel like 4 episodes wasn't enough to develop him and everything. And then but I wrote this down in my notes, but I did like when he was all like, when he said that line, "Come to daddy, my children," and I was like, "Oh, you're naughty." I was like, so yeah. And plus, and the Godspeed storyline, I just thought it was really weird that he was like, it was like a civil war, but he was holding the city captive because he wanted Barry's speed. And I'm all like, what's going on here? Like, this is just weird. I'm all like, and then he's all like, they're like, we need to find him before he turns bad. And then they find him and he turns bad like almost instantly. And I'm all like, what is going on with this nonsense? I don't understand. Like,
What they were trying to do, now I could be totally wrong. I'm sure someone will probably correct me in the comments. Because I don't read like a lot of comics, but I know enough. But I think if I remember correctly, he wasn't really a villain. Like at one point, he was actually Barry's friend, and then he turned evil. And I think they wanted to do something similar to that, but because it's the Flash CW fied, they just did something to make it quote unquote interesting, I guess. And like it did not work on all cylinders.
right on. Yeah, no, I agree. His voice was weird too. I was like, what is going on here? Like, I don't know. It was just weird. Um, okay, are your thoughts about bringing Bart Allen and making him Nora's brother, and Barry's son instead of his grandson?
I never liked the idea, just mostly because they essentially just took away the Tornado Twins, and that was completely pointless because they could have easily done that. But over the course of time, given how long we spent with Nora, I was like, okay, I'm fine with it. But my issue is they essentially wrote in the old timeline Nora because she died. They wrote her like Bart Allen, and I never liked that. And then when they introduced Bart, they had to do some different stuff, which it still felt like Bart. It's just that now we have to deal with a different version of Nora. So it's like Bart was great, but you have to deal with like Nora doing a complete 180 of being a different character now. So good on Bart's side, a bit messy on Nora, but I could say that new Nora is way more interesting than past timeline Nora.
Right on. Yeah, I have to admit, Nora from what was it? Season 5 she was in?
I think so.
Yeah, I did not like her. I thought she was super whiny and like annoying. So, but I did like her a lot better in the episodes I saw her in.
Yeah, same here.
So how do you okay? How do you feel about that lightsaber fight at the end of the season?
Okay, so I personally enjoyed it. Like personal hot take.
Oh.
I know that's controversial, but like if Barry and other speedsters can take their lightnings, make it solid, and throw it at each other like it's a ball, I think they could get away with doing something creative like lightsaber fights with the lightning. Plus, Fortnite made it canon that Barry can make his lightning bolts into a pickaxe. So I embrace the goofiness of it. So I'm that was cool. I like it.
You're all here for this. I didn't like
Yes.
it. I didn't like it. I didn't because and I would just want to say like this wasn't necessarily my idea because I saw other people mention it online. But like you had them throw what's his face throw the throwing stars, and then you had Nora. She had the little whip in that one
Yeah, I thought
episode.
those were cool.
See, I see those are too much like Green Lantern constructs and everything. And I was like, this, if you're gonna do that, you're just like making you're I don't know. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it at
As
all.
as a lot of people say, because I noticed like a lot of, including myself, like you just like after like I forgot what season of the Flash, we'll get into that later, but at some point you just kind of give up and you just go, okay, CW, throw whatever you want to throw at me. It's probably not going to be the best, but I'll roll with the punches. I'll be critical in my own way about it, but okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just and the lightsaber fight was so like hokey and it just yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I just want to be like, this is what you spent your budget on, like this
I feel
nonsense.
it was either, I mean, this whole season didn't have like a big CGI monster. So, oh, wait, actually, it did, but it wasn't the best. So, they had to put the budget somewhere. So, I can't really
Right
blame
on.
them for doing that.
Okay, so do you think that they should cut the cast they should cut down some of the cast.
They really need to.
I agree.
Because, and this was the problem with all of the DC shows in general. It's
I
not
agree.
just a Flash problem. Now, I don't know how the other shows handled it as time went on because I dropped a lot of the shows a while back ago. So I don't know how they handled the ensemble cast, but Flash, over the course of its run, handled it poorly. Like Ralph is a good example, mostly because during this time, all of the Flash characters were depressed. They've been through so much. Like season 1, Happy Go Lucky is no longer there. There's remnants of that, but the character's been through so much that those simpler days are just kind of gone.
Right.
And they thought adding Ralph would help, but they just didn't know what the comedy of season 1 and why that worked so well. And like they kind of overhyped that character. Like they used him for cross promotions for whatever CW wanted to advertise that week. I don't know if you remember those ads during.
I don't.
Okay. But they did that, and then the other characters, like we brought up Allegra, like she only has 2 personality traits. Either she's helpful and she's vibing with everyone, or she's angry about something. And I'm not talking about grief because that's fine, but other times it's just like I get why she's mad, but it's just like I'm not really interested in this character.
See, I like literally like I don't like what's her name? Cecil?
Um I said her name correctly earlier.
You did. It's okay. I don't like her.
Cecile.
Cecile. And I don't like Allegra. And I don't like the one guy. What's his name? The new Cisco.
I think Chester's fine. Like I'm okay with him staying, but like
I just feel like
it's like Killer Frost, they just need to commit to something.
ain't that the truth?
And then because really all we need now is just Barry, of course. Iris is gonna stay because it just adds up given their status now, because it's not
Maybe
like
they
season 1 anymore.
Right on. Maybe they can make another
Chester
baby.
can stay, and then Nora and Bart, and that's a pretty solid cast of characters. And then everyone else can just pretty much be like guest appearances by that point. Like even Joe, like they tried to do like a whole storyline with him, and it worked, but it's just like this character's kind of done.
Yeah, and I totally forgot about Joe, but yeah, Joe can go too. Like I don't know. I just have had enough. Like I don't know. I don't know. The problem with these CW shows is they just like I feel like when they get rid of one cast member, I feel like they have to replace it with another person. And I'm all like, you really don't. You really don't.
And they did that with Chester, but I feel like that worked a lot better than I was expecting it to.
Gotcha. See, I'm on the opposite side of that. I don't think it works at all. Like I just don't like I mean I like Nora and I like Barry. And then like you said, Killer Frost, they need to pick something and stick with it because I don't know what they're doing with her. It's just crazy. It's okay. So my next question is, okay, do you have hope for season 8?
I do. And the reason why I say that is we get to see Eric Wallace's vision fully because they kind of know what to do with COVID and how to work with that situation with the show now. The season finale didn't end on a ooh, who's the next villain? Oh, something's stirring up for next season. Like it ended on like the wedding and everything, and it ended on a pretty positive note. I feel like with that gives them time to figure out what they want to do going forward without any interferences of what a following writer did last season. And the biggest problem with I shouldn't say writer, but directors, because the biggest problem with all of the CW DC shows is they'll have a director and a producer. Maybe they'll stay for 2 seasons or 1 and then they dip. And I think that's the problem with like the consistency of each season, because that's where we get like the show being completely all over the place. So I think since Eric is remaining in the position that he is now, I think that we'll see like a better idea, because I think he's a good writer and director. Like he's done good stuff with The Flash and other shows too. And there's some good in the last season. It's just it was tied down to so much of what things happened before.
Gotcha. I have no hope. All right. So do you, okay, so this one I've just added. So while you were talking, have you heard any rumblings online of who the bad guy is going to be for season 8? And if not, who would you like to see as the villain?
I think I remember, but I honestly forgot at the same time.
Right on.
But in terms of characters I want for the villain, I don't even know anymore. Mostly because they took away the rogues gallery, which was the biggest mistake the show ever made.
I agree.
So at this point, they just have to really pick and choose at this point.
You think they could bring back the rogues gallery just like from another Earth?
Hartley Rathaway, the actor, which is like my favorite character from the show. I don't know if Pied Piper would ever come back. I hope he would, but I don't see that potentially happening. But I feel like because that was so season 1 with all the rogues they introduced, I feel like the writers probably wouldn't even know how to write them again. Not to mention how to reintroduce those characters again. So it's kind of an up in the air type of situation.
Gotcha.
I don't
Do you
even think
think
Captain Cold and Heatwave would come back. So there's that situation.
Do you think they could maybe recast and just be all like, you know what, they're from another Earth, but
Well,
like,
because of Crisis, because they've used that as an excuse for a lot of stuff changing. Or I shouldn't say excuse, but just the reason why things changed. I feel like it could work.
right on. Yeah, I just because that rogues gallery thing, it's a good idea. I just and they didn't utilize the rogues gallery as best as they could. I mean, because the thing about the rogues gallery is like I liked seeing them work together against the Flash, because
That's the thing. That's what I was gonna say too.
yeah, so it's like,
and a lot of them didn't even have good appearances to begin with.
Oh yeah,
so
for
there's
sure.
that problem too.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so there has been talk / people are wanting this. Do you think that Nora and Bart should get their own spin-off show?
More so Bart than Nora.
No?
Just because of Nora is an OC character, so it's really hard to really say what I would want from that character. But since I know more about Bart Allen, that would be way more interesting. And given his relationship to Jay and the whole Godspeed situation, they essentially created an interesting character for a pilot or like a full-on TV show, and I would tune in.
Right on. I would probably check that out too, because I really enjoy seeing a bunch of speedsters and everything. But I would like the writing. I just wish the writing was a little bit better, because I mean the speedsters are what make the show watchable. I mean, without them, this is no good.
Right.
So I mean, because again, I did not like any of the side characters. They are no good. So yeah, I would totally watch a Nora and Bart TV show. So my last question about the show is how do you feel about Eric Wallace's leadership, and do you think he should be replaced?
I think he should remain in the position he is now. Again, as I said before, he's done some good in The Flash before in terms of episode writing. And at the same time, for me personally, in other shows, he's proven himself to actually do like really good stuff. In my opinion, as I said earlier, it's just what the last writers left behind for him to work with. And at the same time, I forgot what I was gonna say. I think and at the same time, COVID last year. So there was a lot of challenges for him to deal with. So I think, as I said earlier, I have hope for season 8. We'll see where that goes. But I think he's in a good position right now. It's just everything that's happened before he came on for a full thing for the show.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think he's better suited for something like Power Rangers. Maybe you should hop over there. So, all right. Do you want to say anything else about the Flash TV show?
No, that's it.
Awesome. All right. Well, then we'll just hop over to talk about the Flash movie. So, the first thing I want to ask you about this is, are you excited for this movie?
I'm having mood swings. That's the best way I could describe it, because on one hand, finally we get to see Ezra's Flash finally in his own thing and not tied to a cameo or something like Justice League, even though this movie is kind of like Justice League. And then on top of that, you have all of the shenanigans that Warner Brothers has put themselves in, both Snyder wise and outside of Snyder wise. So, and then on top of that, WB wanted to make this Flashpoint, but also not Flashpoint to reset the DCEU. So there's just so much against it, but at the same time, there's a lot of cool stuff here. Also, more Barry. So, it's just a mixed bag for me.
I feel you.
Still excited though.
Right on. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I don't like, I'm not like, like, oh my gosh and everything, but it'll be interesting to see what they do here. They're introducing the multiverse, so I'm interested in seeing what they do that movie wise. I know we saw that with the Flash TV show, but it'll just be interesting to see that what they do on the big screen.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
How do you feel about Andy Muschietti directing this movie?
I don't think I watched anything with him, because I think, doesn't he do like more so like horror movies?
He does. He did the movie Mama. That was his first movie, and then he did the It chapter 1 and chapter 2.
Yeah, I haven't watched those, but
Okay.
from what I saw from last Fandom, I have a lot of faith in the guy. It's just a matter of like DC kind of screwing things up for him,
Right on.
that so he has to really work with what he can. But I do definitely have a lot of faith. Same with, I think it's his wife that's working on it too.
Yes, I believe that she's the producer.
Yeah, I have faith in both of them.
Right on. Yeah, I have faith in him. I really liked It chapter 1 a lot. It chapter 2 kind of fell off, the map for me, but and then Mama, I mean, it was a good idea. It just that one fell off the rails towards the end also. I didn't ask write this down, but I want to ask you now, how do you feel about Christina Hodson writing this?
Same thing with Andy. I don't know what they worked on, so I can't really say anything.
Okay. Well, she did Bumblebee, and then she also wrote Birds of Prey.
I still have not watched both, so
Okay. All right. Cool.
I've heard good things about both, so if both of those are good, so
well, if you need me to change your mind, I can tell you bad things about both. Okay. So my next thing I wanted to talk to you about is we got a really good look at the new suit from last year's DC Fandom. And we did get a photo from a set leak. And then we do get some like fan renderings and and all that stuff. But how do you feel about this new suit? And do you think that this is a good upgrade compared to like the Snyder suit?
I would have to see, for me personally, I would have to see it like more like officially compared to what we've seen so far to get a full like a full-on opinion. I do like the Snyder suit. I think the idea and inspiration, it looks cool. But I do like how this suit's more of like a combination of like so much. So I like the direction for this one. I just need to see more of it. before I could really say, yeah, I really like it.
Right
But so
on.
far, I think it's pretty cool.
Right on. I have to say, when I saw the very first um what they showed at DC Fandom, I was like, I don't like this at all. I don't like it. But then I have seen some fan renderings of like their interpretation of what it would look like compared to that concept art, and then that leaked set photo where he's in front of the big giant green screen. I was like, it actually looks all right. I don't know, because I really did like the Snyder cut version of the suit. It was more practical, I felt like.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I'm willing to give it a shot, just because it could be really cool. It could be way
yeah,
better than
that's
what I
how I feel.
expected. Okay. So my next thing I want to talk about you is, okay, so we did get a bunch of set leaks of the set and everything, and a bunch of characters and stuff like that. I do want to talk to you about that. Okay. So the first one I want to talk to you about is, how do you think Michael Keaton looks as Bruce Wayne from those set leaks?
I thought it looked pretty cool.
Right on. I
Like,
agree.
I don't have much to say. It's just it looked nice.
What did you think about his car?
I forgot how I felt about the car, but
Oh, I loved his car. It was like, I'm not a car person, but it's so beautiful. Gosh.
I remember when I saw it, I liked it.
Yeah, I was like, I had money, I'd buy one, but I don't, so I can't. How did you feel about the bat cycle?
I thought that was pretty cool. I
Me
think,
too. Yeah,
I
I thought.
thought, like, because one thing I found interesting about the Snyder era was the toys that we got, both like more so adult wise and kid wise, and like this kind of fits into that wheelhouse of um the more so the kid stuff, the kid vehicles for BVS and Justice League. I'm like, oh yeah, this fits right into that. So I was like, this looks pretty cool.
Right on. I agree. I think it looks really good. Um, I like the way it moves. And
Yeah, same.
it's there is a comic book motorcycle. I was trying to look it up to remember what it's from. I believe it's something like from year zero or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think that's where they got their inspiration for it from. But yeah, I think it looks great. I do think that this is Ben Affleck's motorcycle.
I think
Is
so too.
um because they did also have some set photos of the Batmobile from Keaton's Batman, and that thing looks freaking cool. I love
Yeah,
that
it does.
Batmobile. Yeah, it looks so cool. What'd you think about the Batcave? Because they had a photo set leak of that. Did you like the Batcave?
Yeah, I liked what we saw so far.
Yeah, me too. It looks freaking awesome. I'm excited about that kind of stuff. It looks really cool. Okay. So then moving on, same photo set leaks. How do you feel about Barry Allen and Iris West and their look?
I like it. I like that we get to see more of these two because I definitely love the scene in the Snyder cut with those two. No dialogue, but it was cute. I liked it. I can't wait to see more of those two.
Right on. Yeah, me too. I think it.
Like I
I
think like
well,
the casting for Iris is like pretty good. So
yeah, I agree. I really don't know her that well, because if she's been in something I've seen, I don't remember her. But I'm willing, although I do have to say, casting a black woman as Iris West, the show did it first. The show did it
yes, it
first.
did.
So this movie did not break ground. Snyder didn't break ground with that. But yeah, I'm willing to give her a shot because she's pretty and everything. Although I do have to say, Barry's suit in this picture looks a little too big. I was all like, you couldn't have taken that in just a little bit. Like
I
that's
think I think that's intentional because
I
he's
do
wearing
too.
sneakers.
Yeah, right on. I
Like
do
like
too.
like this man doesn't know why he's here, and I love it.
Right on. Okay, so what did you think about Supergirl and her look in this movie?
I like it. They're kind of going for um a Cavill type of Supergirl. even though Cavill's in a weird position with the DCEU.
Yeah,
So,
right.
but I like the direction. I definitely like the suit, and I don't know much of the actress, but I think she looks pretty cool.
Right on. Yeah, I think, it's not my favorite, but I think it looks better with the cape than it does with the crane stuff that we saw, just because I felt like it with that suit, I just felt like it pulled on her hips too much and it made it look weird. So maybe it's just because of that.
It might just
Um
be a CGI cape.
yeah. Well, there was a leaked photo of her with a cape, but that might just be pictures for, like a screen test or something like that. Um okay, so the next thing I want to ask you is, okay, so there was a video that was leaked, and I believe they're going to show this video at DC Fandom this year, because that's why they went down and took it down and everything. But I wanted to talk to you about it, and I wanted to ask you some stuff. So there is a character in this video that has a big sign on it that says "Spoiler Alert," and I wanted to ask you, who do you think this character could be?
I want to ask, who do you think it is first? So I'm
I
gonna
think it's
reverse
Wonder
it.
Woman, because there's a shot in this video that if you slow it down, and I just had it up, you little idiot, that if you slow it down and you get it right at the perfect spot, it looks like the character, they're on top of a roof, and it looks like they are holding a shield. And I was like, well, what characters in this little universe have a shield? And I'm like, well, the only one I can think of right now is Wonder Woman. So that's why I think it's Wonder Woman. And Gal Gadot, like, her Wonder Woman is on like the side of a bus. So that's my thought right now. I mean, I could, see if I could try to slow it down just a little bit more to see if I could get something, but yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. What about you? Who do you think it is?
Okay, so I have three.
Ooh,
One
tell
of
me.
them, one of them is just question mark. I don't know.
Gotcha.
The second one is Wonder Woman as well.
Right on.
The third one could be Wonder Girl.
Ooh, that's a good one too. Like they introduce her and everything. Yeah, you got me thinking now. Interesting. Yeah, no, I'm trying to figure out who, and I'm curious as if they'll show that at DC Fandom of who that character is, or if they'll still have the spoiler alert sign over it and
Yeah.
they'll just keep us guessing. And I'm all like, no, I don't like guessing. I hate surprises. I don't know how you are. I hate surprises. I don't like it. Okay. So also in that video, we saw Supergirl. I'm sorry, I swallowed my spit wrong. We saw Supergirl in like a laboratory, and the rumor is that she's going to have Superman's backstory from Flashpoint. If this is true, how do you feel about this, and do you think it'll work?
Um, that is, I think they might do a thing where they think they're trying to find Clark, but it ends up being Kara. So that could be interesting. I honestly
Yeah.
thought I honestly thought like a different actor was going to be Clark. So
Mm.
I think that there was a rumor going around. I think an image of someone like pretty skinny. So I don't know. I think it could work, just
Right
given
on.
the fact that it's so simplistic. It's just, oh, Superman was caught by the government and they just locked him up. The end. So I think that could easily work for Kara. No questions asked.
Right on. Yeah. I'm not married to the idea that it has to be Superman. I do like the Flashpoint storyline. So if they do that and then they never like kind of revisit a Flashpoint storyline, that'll kind of bum me out, but at the same time, not as much where I'll be upset about it.
For me, I don't mind. I have to. It's something that because I know as I said earlier, Cavill's in a weird position with the DCEU.
He is.
So if it has to be Kara in this position and no Superman at all whatsoever, I'll be a little bit salty, but at least it doesn't have to go into like a full-on Flashpoint sort of thing. So for Supergirl, it just kind of works.
Right on. Do you think do you think they could get that kid from that show Hollywood to replace him? A lot of people were talking about that David Cornwest, is that his name?
I don't think that's correct. I don't even know who you're talking about,
Oh,
honestly.
okay. All right. Well, because I know when I watched that show, everybody's all like, "Oh, he looks just like Henry Cavill," and I was like, okay, well, maybe he can replace Superman or him and as Superman, because I guess that's the problem. Henry Cavill's hard to work with, so which I mean that could be true, but I mean, like, come on, he's
I'm not even
Superman.
sure at this point. I think it's just more of a WB situation than Cavill more than anything else.
Oh, gotcha.
But I
Okay, so
think if they want to go with like not a Henry completely buff, they could just I forgot the actor who played him, but he was on Teen Wolf. But young Clark in Man of Steel, they could easily bring him back.
oh, right on. So my next question for you is, and this one's, how do you feel about Ron Livingston replacing Billy Crudup as Henry Allen in this movie?
Not happy about it, but I'll live with it.
Yeah, it makes me wonder why Billy Crudup chose, because his whole thing was it was scheduling conflicts. He had the morning show for Apple Plus, TV Plus, or whatever it's called, and then he had this movie, and he chose Apple. He chose the morning show, and I go, is the morning show? I mean, like, I've seen season 1, and it was all right, but I'm all like, was it better than this? I mean, come on. But at the same time, maybe he's only got like 1 or 2 scenes.
Yeah,
But then I just go like, can't you film those last then and just,
yeah.
film?
But then again, that might delay the movie even further. And
Mm,
honestly,
yeah,
waiting for it, I would not be happy. So if this means that we get a Flash movie sooner, I'm fine with that.
right on. I agree. And I do like Ron Livingston. I just, me personally, I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like when you cast somebody as a character, you try your hardest not to have to replace them. Like, unless
Yeah,
they
and I feel like
die or do
plus
something,
I feel like it there's a whole because of how big the Snyder cut is, but even the not so great Justice League,
right.
there's that inconsistency with the actors and everything, and those were like the best scenes for Barry. There's a whole bunch of other good scenes with Barry, but those were like the most iconic scenes given how very tied to Barry that was.
Mhm.
So there's like the difficulty of that.
Right on. Okay. So, how do you feel about Ben Affleck's Batman no longer being in the DCU and having a small role in this movie?
I mean, I'll take it. I mean, if like as I said earlier, like so much of like the DCEU that's tied to essentially Justice League and before Justice League, it just kind of everything's just kind of crumbling. So it's like I'll take it or leave it.
Right on. Yeah, I'm bummed that I mean, like, I personally like Ben Affleck, his Batman.
Yeah, I
I
thought
thought
he was
he
great.
Yeah, me too. I thought he did a good job. So I'm bummed that he's leaving, but I mean, like, if he had like alcohol problems, and I get that, and I'm not trying to, be like, who cares about your alcohol problems? I need you as Batman, kind of thing. And I am happy that he's coming back to kind of give a goodbye, but I hope they don't kill him off. So that way, if he does change his mind, maybe later down the road, he could be like, hey, you guys still need a Batman? Because I'm down, you know?
Like I don't even think like as I said before, like I really think this is all just WB being reactionary and
Mm.
like erasing the Snyder stuff. So I don't
Which
know how they're gonna handle it. So
Yeah, I wish they wouldn't do it though. I really do, because I personally thought it was so good. I loved it. So, all right. So now I want to talk to you about some theories. So none of these are like set in stone. This is all stuff that I saw on the internet and everything. So, we'll have to, just play along with me, okay?
Okay.
So the first one I want to talk to you about is, okay, so Jessica Chastain was in Andy Muschietti's very first movie, Mama. So there has been some speculation online, and this was early on, and so, but I want to talk to you about it now because there's another theory that we'll talk about in just a second. But there's a speculation online that Jessica Chastain will be in this movie, and that she is going to be playing a gender bent Reverse Flash. And now, if this is true, how do you feel about them gender bending the Reverse Flash? And how do you feel about Jessica Chastain possibly playing the Reverse Flash?
If I was Grace Randolph, I would be angry and I would make a full rant about it. But in all seriousness, I don't mind. Like it makes this very completely different, and differences are pretty important. Like I'm not too pressed if Eobard is a girl. Like I don't even mind that. Like as long as it's different, because the thing about this version of the Flash TV show has been on for so long that movie Barry has to do completely different stuff. So if that means doing something different, I'm for it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I'm not somebody that's like a purist or whatever. Like it does not have to be exactly like the comic books, except for the costume. The costume has to be like the comic books. I'm sorry, I can't get it past that. But at the same time, I just go, I don't know if I like, because I have a problem in movies when they always pit men against women. And I'm like, can we just stop doing that for like a hot minute, please? Because I've had enough. And like, I'm just, it like if this was the case, then it's like, oh, well, the woman's facing the man and who's better and who's faster. And I'm all like, why are we doing this? It just makes me upset. And I'm all like,
Well, they're gonna have to make the backstory like really interesting, because Eobard changed his face to look like Barry. Like he was obsessed. So I don't know how they're gonna approach gender bending Eobard, but I know shippers are gonna have an interesting time with this one.
for sure. There is a theory that she could be playing his mom and everything.
Oh, that makes it even more interesting. So
that
yeah,
like that. Well, that Jessica Chastain would just play his mom, and she would just be in like the one scene where she dies, which I would be for that. I mean, because I'm fine with Jessica Chastain, and I wouldn't have a problem. Again, I don't like it, but if they did it, I would, I'd watch it, and if it was good, I'd be like, yeah, you guys did a good job. I was wrong,
yeah, same.
Yeah. Okay, so my next theory that I want to ask you is, okay, so ever since the leaked photos of this movie came out, one of the theories is that there's a picture, and I'm gonna throw it up and everything, but there's Barry Allen, and he's talking to another Barry Allen from an alternate world, and that this Barry Allen, the one in yellow, that this Barry Allen will become the Reverse Flash. Okay, now how possible do you think this theory is, and then how do you feel about it if it's true?
I feel like again it could work considering the fact that Eobard did change his face to look like Barry.
Right.
At the same time, it could easily be Savitar.
Oh, right on. Yeah. I mean, and that's a good point. Like, the bad guy doesn't have to be the Reverse Flash, although I really want it to be. But
For me, I'm not even sure.
right on. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to ask you about one more thing. Let me write it down real quick. Okay. Okay. So yeah, no, yeah. Like if they did that, I'd be fine with that too. I wouldn't be upset with it as long as the writing, like I'm the kind of person, like it could just be two people sitting at a table. If the writing is good, I'm down.
Yeah, I
for it.
agree.
Okay, so my last theory I want to talk to you about is, okay, so Andy Muschietti released this photo recently, and I'm throwing it up right now. And a lot of theories online are saying that this is the Red Death. Now, that Red Death could be the villain of this Flash movie. Now, if this is true, how do you feel about this? And who do you think could play the Red Death?
Is this
And
the one where like it's a Batman suit and it's sprayed on?
yeah,
I have no actors in mind, so
gotcha.
can't really say that, but it's an interesting idea.
Right on. Do you think that this would be a good choice for a villain for this movie?
I don't know much about this character, so I can't really speak on that one.
Gotcha. I don't like I read comic books, but I don't follow every single one because comic books, you buy a bunch of them, they can be quite expensive, my dude. But
I get that.
but at the same time, again, this one, and I'm gonna say it again, if the writing is really good, I don't care who they have as the villain. You know, just as long as it's good, the writing is good,
For me,
and they
it's like
do
as long as it's good and it's not how Justice League handled Barry, we're in a good spot.
right on. I agree. I agree. Okay, so one thing that I didn't send you, but I want to talk to you right now. Okay. So one thing I'm really bummed about, and I don't know how you feel about it, but in the Suicide Squad, they killed off Captain Boomerang. And one
I
thing I
was I was very disappointed about that. I was like, you had people on Twitter going, "Man, where did all this Captain Boomerang love all of a sudden come from?" And it's like, bam, like if you're a Flash fan, of course you're gonna like certain Flash rogue villains. And like again, that kind of goes back to like Barry not being used or having a movie before all of this because they set up Boomerang perfectly to be in a Flash movie, and then they just kill him off. And I'm like, yo, Gunn, like, why'd you got to do that, man?
right? Yeah, no, I agree. Like I was like, oh, that's such a bummer because now we'll never see him, fight the Flash. Like
And at the
he
same
does.
time, Jai Courtney's portrayal of the character is like pretty interesting and like pretty lively, and I really enjoyed it. So it's like,
I agree. I agree.
hopefully this movie is kind of Flashpoint-ish to bring him back.
I hope so. I hope it changes everything, and then James Gunn can do another one and kill him again. but after the second Flash movie where they
Right.
fight. Okay, so the last question I want to ask you about this whole thing um, is what do you expect to see this year at DC's Fandom? And are you excited for it?
I'm excited. Honestly, I have no idea what they'll show. I hope it is Flash related because, I could use more movie news because who knows what's going on with CW side of things for Flash. So, would nice to know more about the movie. Also, Shazam stuff. Can't wait for that. And the animated side of things.
Right on. I agree.
Also Aquaman as well.
Oh my god, yeah, Aquaman's my number one. I love Aquaman. He's like my favorite. But I'm also excited for Shazam 2 because it's like, it's the fury of the gods. And I was like, who are these gods? Why are they mad? Tell me. I want to know. And everything. So and then I'm also excited for Black Adam. I don't know if you're excited for
Oh, right.
that.
I forgot to bring that up, but yeah, because that's tied to Shazam, and I
Yeah.
like both, so it's
Yeah, and I'm just I don't know how you feel about DC, but I mean Marvel's great and everything, but I love DC. I think they have better characters. They interest me way more. I feel like they have way better storylines.
like
Don't
here's the
tell
thing
me
with
why.
me and Marvel. Like when I was a kid, because it all for me it all boils down to childhood. The only Marvel characters I knew were Spider-Man and X-Men.
Right.
That was it. And with DC, they were pumping out animated content left and right. Like I know a lot more characters in DC than I do Marvel. The only reason why I know more about Marvel characters is because of Earth's Mightiest Heroes and the MCU as a whole. So
Right. Right on. Yeah, no, I've
plus like
been
plus like DC the DCEU was like doing things that the MCU is kind of like, should we do this? That's pretty risky. I don't know, fam.
I agree. Yeah, it's like every time Marvel, dips its toe out of the comfort zone and like they pull it real back real quick and they're like, maybe we'll just do like kind of touch on that. And I'm like, why? Why don't you just dive
Yeah.
right in? Just do it. So All right. Is there anything else you want to say before we?
Barry Allen, great fictional speedster husbando. That's it.
All right, you guys. Well, if you like this video, tell us what you guys thought about this. How do you feel about the Flash TV show? Do you like the TV show still? Did you like season 7? What's your favorite part? Who's your favorite bad guy? What are some things you want to see in season 8? As far as the Flash movie goes, did any of those theories sound great to you? How do you feel about the recasting of Henry Allen? What do you think about all the characters and how they look? You guys can go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. Speedster, you won't mind?
I wouldn't mind.
Of course you won't. And you guys go ahead and subscribe and everything. All of the links all of our links will be in the description down below. And we will see you guys on the next video. You guys have a good day. Bye.